Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So, walking to work this morning, and but I ain't gonna lie. Let me get straight to this. The Black Manosphere, well, you see the title. So, I'm saying this because, first off, let's look at what it's going to take for there to be a black community that can be sustainable, okay? Let's take a look at what it means for us to have a culture that we can pass on to the kids without the BS. Some people have it, and I ain't going to front. We make a mistake of looking up to some other people's cultures like they're okay, and no, they're not. These are trade-offs. Human beings suck at finding balance. We don't find balance without the help of God. So we need these revelations, and I can't even say all the revelations anymore, but we need the wisdom in the revelations, and the last one that abrogates the previous ones is the one I claim. I'm not saying that because I claim it because I researched it and I could say it. So don't put the cart before the horse. I offer you and I invite you all to the solution. And I've told y'all what it is, but in the meantime, let's take a look at what we got available to us. Black Manosphere is really, as I stated, not on, and I didn't talk about this before, but you know what, when Bernard Riley had his live, I did one of the super chats. I said, you know what, Black Manosphere actually is more pro-black than the self-called pro-blacks. And I'll explain more on my channel. And I let some of the explanation stick in the in my last upload, which was episode 42 of the Black Manosphere Show of the Week. But there's some more. To be more specific to that, I would apologize, but that was a good one. But yeah, I'll be more. So let me go ahead and tell y'all straight away that you can't build with these sisters here. Doesn't matter what you build, they're going to tear it down. Western sisters that you got to deal with over there, they're going to take it. They don't want you to have it. They're going to get rid of it. And it doesn't matter if you're dealing with the Western wired woman or the Western sister. But you know what? A lot of us actually agree. Quiet as it's kept. A lot of men, even in the Black Manosphere, that don't want to hear sisters' mouths, still ain't checking for no bite witch. Or the wired broad. A lot of us still ain't. A lot of us are looking at the wired woman and we're like, nah, that's okay. That's all right. And some brothers will say stuff to troll sisters because sisters don't like it. That's what happens. But no, man, we ain't sitting up here like, oh, that white woman. We're not Uncle Ruckuses. The brothers that do troll like that usually are trolling because there's a part of them that's still hurt, and rightfully so. Because the attitude of the Western sister has been interpreted as treachery, and rightly so, because the Western sister would interpret far less than that as treachery, and they've been doing that. The Western sister been interpreting this as treachery. How long has that been going on? I can't even tell you. One of the reasons that now you got more black folks sitting up here calling everybody that ain't black white is because you got a lot of sisters that wanted to use that when it came down to other women. Because quiet as it's kept, sisters want to see this, Western sisters, want to be binary about this, but in actuality, the biggest competition for the Western sister is the non-Western, non-white. She has no more strong competition, no stronger competition. You think a Karen can compete with somebody from Southeast Asia who values a man that's going to treat her well? How is Karen going to compete? We heard what Richard Pryor said. First thing he said, boy, she paid her dues. Because the first 6 or 7 years of the relationship, she thought White Honky B-Word was her name. The audience cracked up. A few years later, he was like, man, she was in that courtroom, little pigtails, looking like she was 8. And Your Honor, he did all of this. And the judge said half, and she ain't told a joke. And we heard that too. And we heard men who had boxed to get belts being left behind because of the money that they were no longer earning, being divorced because the women were entitled to half, and there was still something to be had, and the women wanted to make off. Instead of staying and sharing that wealth with these men, they wanted to make off without the men but half of his money. And some of these boxers were like, how come she ain't get in the ring and do this fighting for these belts? It was no joke. It was nothing to shake a stick at. These men that are in the black manosphere have already tried. And they've looked and they've said, you know what? We've wasted our lives. And the thing is that, yeah, sisters get some of the worst attitudes. The absolute worst. You try telling a sister, even on the continent where they're traditional, throw away the skin bleach. But, no. Don't tell me but nothing. I'm the husband, I pay the bills, I'm gonna look after you, I already love you, I married you, throw the skin bleach away. Attitude. But I want to look better. What you mean you want to look better? What's wrong with the way you look? And that could be a traditional sister from back home. Now, you tell a woman in Southeast Asia, you marry that gorgeous, dark-skinned Indonesian woman and tell her throw the skin bleach out. Whether she wants to or not, she'll throw it out. And if you don't treat her any worse afterwards, she will not regret her decision to obey you. I know. Art Zuck is one of my subscribers from Indonesia. Shout out to you, blood. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak, dan apa kabar? Saudara. Apa kabar keluarga? So, you know, there's that. He talked about that. He said, yeah, I told my wife throw it out, and she threw it out. No more skin bleach in Dove. Good. Excellent. And see, what do we have to deal with? What do we have to face? Don't get me started on the one from the Anglophone Caribbean or from the U.S. She may not use it, but if you find her with it, hey, look, you need to throw this out. You don't tell me. Okay, God have mercy. Hey, listen, you don't need to get that BBL. You need a fatah. I'm doing this for me. Yeah, right. Just know, you let her get the BBL and then get everything on videotape. Show her attitude when she doesn't have it. Just walk up with a camera. How you doing, good, gorgeous? Why are you filming? Well, I just want to have this memory of you before the operation. Then, afterwards, watch that attitude change. Follow her, just to get the evidence and the proof. A Western broad in general cannot be good looking to men and have a good attitude for very long. And they especially can't do that with their own men. So most of us actually are not willing to be with Miss Ann. I'm not. I extend that even to the Arab Miss Ann, even though she's not the same as Miss Ann. I'm just like, look, you could be cute, doesn't matter. We could both be Muslim, doesn't matter. I'm not so sure this is gonna work, man. Now see, I've been about leaving the States before I knew anything about this space. And one of the reasons that I granted my second ex the divorce when she asked for it was because I was under the impression that I had just recently learned that she married me, not because I was Muslim and I was a muhajir, meaning a migrant, for the sake of God, not these things, but that, these things played a part, but that I was also her husband because I wasn't too black, even though she's a black woman. I had recently gotten to that impression. She wanted out by, you were about to be joined by another wife anyway. And the thing was, at that point, when she was done, I was like, yeah, we black folks got enemies everywhere. Everywhere we go. That's what I thought. I had serious blackonoia. But one thing I knew was in Southeast Asia that wasn't the case. And I was going to consider, the next women I was going to consider were going to be Southeast Asians. When my memory got triggered, that was 2017. If you look at my August 1st upload from 2017, that was, I think, the day after my memory had been triggered. And I remembered a sister telling me in the States before 9/11 that, black, you ain't gonna never be treated equally to anybody else, to other black men, by black women. It ain't gonna happen. Well, when she said that, she wasn't making that up, because she was actually explaining what I'd been through before. And that is true. Western black women were never going to treat me equally to other black men. They just weren't going to do it. As far as I didn't know that they were doing this to a lot of other brothers. I was unaware at that time. But I could see the patterns. If they didn't have another man's kids, they weren't the same. If they didn't have extra weight and self-esteem from it, they weren't the same. Meanness off the charts. Bring me the trauma. Don't bring this to other dudes. Oh, they bubbly with the guys that they really wanted. And then come to find out that some of them really wanted me, but why did they treat me like they didn't? Because of their friends. They knew how their friends rank men, and a lot of them didn't want to admit that they ranked me higher than their friends would rank me. They were following the culture, and the culture is to undervalue men. In general, we don't have the option of being loyal to the Western black woman. It's not an option. Most of us don't have a loyalty to Pearl, but we'd rather not overreact to anybody, really. That's the bulk of us. I didn't say all, but I said the bulk of us. I mean, people can put her in her place. There are rumors that Kevin Samuels did the consultation, but then put her in her place. Okay, go on. Thank you. You paid, I did the consultation. Good luck, man. You all saw the lead attorney put her in her place. I didn't see it, but you all talked about it so much, I know there was something to it. He wasn't willing to jump down her throat just because she's a white lady talking about an issue about which many black men are talking, but he wasn't going to let her come and run the show either. That's what happened. We're actually more pro-black because we're the ones who, when we choose a black woman, it's going to be a traditional black woman with whom you can build a family and maintain a culture. We are the ones who are pro-black. If we choose a non-black woman, we're picking the non-black woman that is the best for black children. The best moms for black children. Usually that's the Southeast Asian, in most cases, from what I can understand, or the very proud Afro-Latina. Usually who that is. No, Black Manosphere is pro-black. We're not walking around telling black folks pseudoscientific BS. The black man could fly back in ancient Kemet 5,000 years ago. We didn't have to use the bathroom. Facts, brother, till the white man came and took us to Mississippi. We don't walk around doing that stuff. We're taking an objective look at who we are and who we're not, and we're trying to spread that word. The Black Manosphere is the most pro-black because we're the ones that are opposing the stereotypical idea of what is supposed to be black culture, which is really N19 culture. And we're saying, oh, shuck that fit. We are not going to be that. A hell knuckin' foe. That is not what it means to be black and to be a masculine black man. We ain't knuckle dragging. We ain't chest thumping. Well, I do, but that's because of me. It's not because of our blackness. We're not roaring. We're not toting hammers all the time and pulling out guns just for the fun of it, just to show. None of that stuff. That's not going to be who we are going to try to be. We ain't barking and growling at each other all the time. We're trying to get away from that. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it, actually. I think more in the Manosphere are doing a better and better job. And that's actually something that's happening with black men, even that are not in the black Manosphere. Even Future could not be goaded into provoking or insulting Russell Wilson years ago on an interview. Well, how you feel about this man raising your son? Man, I ain't got no problem because he teaching my son valuable things, man. I appreciate him. He doing good for my son. That's what he said. This is years ago. Now we talk about I'm still banging Cece, and I assume he's talking about Sierra. That's where the provocation came in. That was more recent. But when he sat down for an interview and he wasn't in a studio, well, he was in an interview studio. He wasn't in his recording studio recording his songs and his lyrics. He wasn't really going to provoke Russell. I ain't saying that they buddies. I'm just simply saying that Russell, he didn't insult Russell. He didn't call Russell a lame, a cornball, or a bad dude. Nothing like that. There is a point at which, I mean, we black men are pretty much, it's like we're rediscovering our ability to not have grudges for no mother cuss word reason. We're finding this out about ourselves, even though we've always had it. And we're promoting this. And now, sisters, we are promoting a way in which we black men don't die as the attack dog pit bulls of the gynocracy, because they will sick us on each other. Absolutely, they will do it all the time. I mean, all the time. Not because every single one of them will do it, but because every single one of us will either be called upon to do something like that, or will be the one upon whom another one is called. One way or another. We're supposed to be striking hard poses and having hard looks all the time. I mean, I remember going to, I remember one time when I was helping somebody move in. He was going to college. So we drove to Baton Rouge, helped him move into his dorm at Southern. And I was getting ready to leave our hometown myself to go to Morehouse. Helped this man move in. It was Southern. It was a freshman dorm, so everybody fresh out of high school. Brothers was all posted up, trying to look hard, trying to look street credit worthy. This is in the 90s. Internet it existed at that point, but it was new. Y'all know what it was. And I remember thinking, dang, man, I don't think I want to go to a HBCU if it's going to be all this. Because mind you, less than 6 months before, I'd had my last fight and it was nothing but us at all black high school. And I was like, look, I'm not willing to side with them, with Massa and Zaddy. Those weren't the terms in which I was thinking. But I remember saying, man, I am not going to sacrifice myself anymore behind this pro-blackness. It ain't gonna work if I gotta sacrifice myself. Shuck that fit. A few weeks later, I wanted to, maybe about a week later, it was time for me to go to Atlanta. Pops and I loaded up, moved into the freshman dorm, and it was a different vibe at Morehouse. I ain't gonna even much lie. Now, pro-blackness was very questioned at Morehouse, but it was also very present. It was just very questioned. And there were a lot of brothers there that would say, look, I ain't messing with none of them other women. I mean, them folks. A lot of them say I ain't messing with none of them folks. We know about that. But if these sisters are going to have a bad attitude, I would give, we didn't say Latino or Hispanic, we would say Mexican. Back then. Actually, in Morehouse, more than would say Latin American. I said, well, I'll get them Latin Americans a shot in a minute. And by the time I was a sophomore, Ethiopian women were popular. And if you really want to know the truth, if some of you want to find out, well, who was Black Mind? I'm not going to tell you what years I went, but you can ask, who was it that made Ethiopian women popular, or who started talking about them and praising their manners, at least, on campus? And if you find someone that knew me, they're probably going to tell you. I wound up marrying a sister from Somalia, and I'm spoiled. I'm actually pissed that I gotta live here in Riyadh away from her because of what I told y'all about in episode 42. We've been pro-black. We are the next stage of pro-black. We are not sellouts and coons. Now, there may be some amongst us, and you know, I ain't gonna lie, a few years ago, I did hear a lot of people that were Manosphere adjacent. They were usually on panels, not making their own content, spewing this right-wing conservatism. And as a Muslim who's conservative for God's sake, and not because I trust the Republicans or their likes, I would look and say, man, if you don't fuck the shuck up, when you gonna learn to say the right thing for the right reason? It's a balance that a lot of people don't have. It ain't just us black folks that don't have it, but we don't have it. We are the next stage of pro-blackness. The sisters to whom you so-called pro-blacks, actually pro-wax, remain loyal are the reason why we cannot remain loyal to them. And most of us don't have a blind loyalty to Miss Davis. The more information comes out, the more we look at that information and say, okay, well, that's a reason to look at her side eye, but that doesn't really make her much different from other people. That's what happens, and that's what's happening now. Yeah, it's a legitimate question. I gave Sarah Garvey credit for bringing the receipts for what he said. No, I don't particularly like Pearl. Yes, I think that most whites are racist subconsciously. That's how they're trained. They don't have to be hateful. I think most non-blacks have an anti-black bias, even if it's not with hatred, even if it's not with awareness. I think they have it. That's a hard line stance, but mine is based on evidence. I've observed it. With my appearance, I can accidentally spy on non-blacks. My man B Deep, Dark Matter, sent me a post today. It was a photograph of one of the black princes of Saudi. Yeah, there's a black prince. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. He's one of the grandsons of Abdulaziz bin Saud, one that started the modern day state, the modern day kingdom. And I could see the comments from these bronze non-black Bedouins, and I'm using that as an epithet. And they were like, this is strange, a prince with this color. I'm like, you slowpoke bun of a sitch, you retarded father mucker. And if it wasn't Ramadan, I probably would have said this for real. I gotta sit up and say this. It's me that's about to get into business. I'm the one about to do that. Just for fun. I break my fast on the backs of racists who say that they Muslim. B Deep is breaking the chains on the minds of black folks here that picked up an inferiority complex from the society in its treatment. And this treatment here ain't as bad as what we had to face in the States or in the rest of the Americas. It's still bad. I'm learning more every time I hang out with him. And the guy through whom I met him, Mr. Hausawi. And sometimes I might want somebody close to them and learn even some more. I'm not gonna say which one of the two, but one of their relatives told me that when he was a kid, just being in the masjid praying, he was told to go to the back. Another one told me that when he was a kid, he got into fights with other kids and it was behind race. Now, the parents didn't think that it was okay to act like this, but the parents had still said insulting things about black folks, and the kids internalized it, and they took it to the level of violence that adults wouldn't do. That's what happened. It goes with not being black in certain parts of the world. It just comes with it. So I understand some of the black annoya that many of you so-called pro-blacks have. But you don't read, and you don't believe in nuance, and you don't believe in learning anything new. The minute you see somebody a little paler than you or hair a little bit more lax, you don't trust them. Now that's a good strategy to have with people in general you don't know, but you don't even ask questions about their culture to learn what is true and what's not. You don't even want to know what you can learn from. That's why a lot of y'all are sitting now and saying, with them Southeast Asian women, you sound just like them so-called sisters. Well, them Southeast Asian women are broke and can't speak English. And they can't stand black people. No. The Philippines don't have a concept, even with their colorism, they don't have a concept of hatred for black people. I was shocked. I didn't think that somebody could use skin bleach and not have a concept of hatred of black people. They actually don't have it in the Philippines. They don't have it in Malaysia. I've been there twice. And nobody had the audacity to ask why I was married to my wife in Malaysia. They didn't even stare. They were nice to all of us, to both of us. They were nicer to me when I was with her than they were when I was by myself. And I'm up here trying to make, even if not alliances, at least maintain some neutrality with people that are not enemies, to stop you blackanoid, pro-whack, no-tep, slow steps from ruining things for us by making more enemies than what we already got. Because we do have them. And a lot of them being plugged into the matrix don't know they got the agent software, and so they don't even know that they can be activated as enemies. It's a latent software just waiting. One news story, they're just waiting. It's already happening with Arabs. I met Arabs that, non-black Arabs that want to be black, but I've also been told watch out for them, because even if they actually do want to be black, but you know what? They'll still spy for their people. They'll have dreadlocks and listen to Bob Marley and will still spy for their people. They ain't woke. I get to learn this because of the Black Manosphere and because of the passport and because of my willingness to come over here to live in Saudi Arabia. It would have been speculation otherwise. I wouldn't know. I could speculate, but I couldn't know. But see, because of you now, because of where my willingness to move here and learn this, I can sit up and tell y'all. I can school y'all. Yeah, when I sit up and I think that most non-blacks got a problem with us, it's based on evidence, it's based on experience. But because I understand that nuance is necessary, I can sit up and tell you of certain groups that I know are not enemies yet. I can tell you about that easily. Stop and think about that. I'm not the only one. I'm just on YouTube and Odyssey now. Sometimes Facebook. A lot less so Instagram and Twitter. But I'm just one that's on social media telling you this is what it means, because I grew up pro-black, so I do have the question of what it means to be black living over here. And since I can't say that I am pitch black and recognizably, visibly black at first glance in a society like this, then I tell you, okay, this is what blackness means to them, because I'm in a position to find that out and tell you. And to them, they see blackness as something like being short or having a bent knee or something like that. They see it as a minor defect. So they don't have to hate you. They just see it as being lesser than non-black. And a lot of times it's subconscious. This is a place where you're going to see subconscious, non-hateful bias, and you may have to tell someone who doesn't hate you and wants to welcome you as a fellow Muslim if you are, or just who may want to be nice to you, or who may even see you as a celebrity. You may have to tell them some things about themselves without hatred, but then that's going to trigger something. That Agent Smith software then gets triggered, and they're going to protect white supremacy. Not the KKK or their flags or anything like that, but they will protect the assumption of white normality, and that's bad enough. Because I'm here to tell you, real white folk, I mean Western Europeans, are not normal people. Eastern Europeans vary from each other, but Western Europeans ain't normal people. We are pro-black. Some who don't even think they're pro-black are doing things that are more pro-black because they're advocating an actual avenue by which we can have the closest thing to a so-called black family that the sisters say they want, but we can't have it with them because of who they chose to be. It's not been an option for a long time. Black family ain't been an option for me for decades. I just recently realized that. Don't say that again, that we ain't pro-black or that we kiss from behind, anything like that. We're not even the ones that bigged up that interloper. It wasn't us. I'm not even sure how much the Black Manosphere in the UK did it. Maybe they did, maybe not, like I said, but it wasn't us. Close your mouths. To my usual audience, thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. And as I always say, thank you for flying with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.